This morning we're going to learn about another one of the methods for getting the current timestamp or date, and that is ISODate. So in the previous video on this playlist we looked at the new date operator. Now we're going to look at the ISODate operator, and what we're going to do is we're just going to compare how it's stored at first, and then we're also going to compare how to get a specific date with, and I'm going to call it an operator method, but I'm going to call it an operator just because that's how my English works. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to look at the comparison. So the first value we have here is the new date, and the second value we have here is this ISODate, as we see. Okay, and you'll notice that the way they're stored is very similar, right? I mean, there's very few seconds difference between these two values. Okay, so that's good to know. It's stored here as an ISODate. Now, we remember that from new date, we could pass in the year, the 0 indexed month, and then the day, right? So if we go here and we say, okay, let's do that here. So let's suppose we wanted to get yesterday's value. So, again, this is the month of July, and I'm just to remind you, 6 is how it's indexed. It starts at 0. So January is 0. Therefore, every month is its value minus 1 numerically. Okay. But if we call this, you'll note we get this uncaught exception, invalid ISODate. Okay? So how would we get yesterday's date? And we know that if we pass this into new date, it would work. For instance, if I were to go here, it would work fine. Right? So let's go back to this. And what I'll show you is the way we would pass this in is we would say 2014-07-07, which is yesterday's date, right? And then we would go and we would look at it, and you'll see that we have a matching value. So that's some of the, and again, this is just kind of a nuance between ISODate here and new date. It's not a problem whatever you choose to use. I mean, it comes down to how you're inserting your data and the date value it should be, and the date value you want to compare it to. For instance, if you're crunching certain algorithms, it may be easier to use the new date because you can maybe make it more dynamic. On the flip side, ISODate will work as well. It's just to understand those nuances between the two. You have one where you're going to be wrapping it in quotes, and then the other one in which you can pass in the year and the month and of course the day.